All right, question 3. My wife and I are 31 and have been married for a year. She wants to start trying to have a kid, but I don't feel like I'm ready yet. I feel bad about it, but it's the truth. When I communicate this to her, she gets so sad and can't understand why. I feel like one of these days I'm just going to say okay out of guilt just to make her happy. I know I want kids, just not yet. What more can I tell her?
This is a great question. And we have a lot of experience in this exact sort of situation. The only part that is different in our situation is that when we would have conversations around kids the last couple years, I did understand why, and I did my best not to shame you or guilt you in any way. That's the only little piece that's different here, but I would say that we were almost in this exact situation.
Yeah, and I would tell him to, out of love and in a moment that is not charged, have a deep conversation that you clearly articulate to her is very, very important for you to express, and tell her something like this: I want children with you, but it is not that I do not feel authentic in this moment to pursue parenthood. You don't want to be with a partner who is jeopardizing their integrity just to make you happy. Masculinity is about purpose-driven living. You are attracted to this component in me. It would be out of integrity for me, although I've committed to wanting children with you, to participate in that in this moment. I hope you understand that, but that is the person that you've signed up to be with. Stepping out of that, if he said, I never want children ever, then that could be a huge core value difference that is worth talking about whether the relationship should be a relationship. But if it's just a matter of timing, I think it's just about having the container for the relationship to authentically express what is on each other's hearts and minds. With the, I'm open to changing my mind. I'm open to feel differently after you share your heart with me. If she says, okay, I hear you, I understand, I have a lot more empathy and compassion for you, let me now explain to you my thoughts. My biological clock is ticking. I don't feel as if I'm as lit up about anything until I start to participate in motherhood. And maybe that, if dude guy can be willing to have his heart and mind changed by what she has to share, could actually move the timeline a little bit. I think the key ingredients here are a commitment to have your heart and mind changed, as well as a commitment to authentically share what you are feeling without an attachment from your significant other, or without an expectation that your significant other is going to change their mind or bend to what you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that will facilitate at the minimum, if this is a loving relationship, an outcome whereby each partner has a deeper, more felt experience of what the other person might be desiring.
Yeah, totally agree with everything there. I have a couple more thoughts. One is just having empathy for your partner, because this is something that vastly, generally varies and is just different between men and women for, I think, various reasons. It's in our DNA as women to start thinking about this probably sooner than a man, because a man can donate his sperm until he dies. A woman has a window. That's just physiologically the way that it works. And so, of course, women are, and we're the more, nurturing generally. So it makes sense that our dial is going to be turning on probably sooner than the man's. And so just having empathy for where your partner is at both ways, knowing that they're not wrong, you're not wrong. It could be just your DNA that's literally different. And it doesn't have to be a topic that separates you, that causes some level of disconnection. Hopefully it's something that actually causes more connection because you're understanding each other on a deeper level. So I think step one is to always come into a conversation really trying to see your partner's perspective. And I think also from the guy's perspective, something that would probably be helpful to her, which was helpful to me when we would have these conversations. Like, I've shared this before on the podcast, but like I went most of my 20s like not knowing if I did want kids. I've never had that super strong pull like some little girls do when they're 6 years old, like all I want to be is a mother. That wasn't me. And so there was a while where I was like, I don't know if I want kids. And especially when we first got back together, I was so happy and so just enthralled in our relationship like that. It felt so fulfilling to me. And I didn't know if I wanted that to change. Then almost involuntarily, nothing in our relationship really changed. Our connection was strong. I still felt very fulfilled by our relationship. There was no void, but there was this internal dial that literally like almost overnight flipped on to where I was thinking about babies more. I was thinking about kids in general more. I was like envisioning you like holding our child, and I would get like, emotional about it. And like, where is this coming from? It felt completely involuntary. And I made a commitment from the beginning of this sort of dial turning on that I was going to be open and honest with you about what was happening inside of me, because I knew that if I stifled this, if I suppressed this, it wasn't going to be good for either one of us. And so I would just share like, here's what I'm feeling inside of me and here's where I'm at. And this is in no way a guilt trip or me trying to convince you of anything. I just need you to know where I am.
Yeah.
No, and so I think just one more thought here. If she can do that with him, and if he's not ready yet, maybe think about some things in his life that he would need in order to feel ready. Like when we would have these conversations, there was, you wanted to go on another really big trip. You wanted to go on a European or some other you wanted to travel more before we settle down. And that was something that was really important to you. And so like explaining, if you can, the reasons why, or like what you might want to experience or accomplish or feel before you get to the kid place as a man.
Yeah, no, totally. And from our experience, for me, our life basically our relationship was paused for 3 years when we were divorced, and it was reestablishing a foundation. And the older I got, the more I realized how important family was and how important the relationship of the parents are to the child itself. And the dad in me felt a responsibility to fortify our relationship and the bedrock by which we would be bringing a child into, so that it wasn't going to have to take the imprint of the things that we still had to work on. There was part of I want to experience more things, but there was also a responsibility to the inevitability of being a father, that I knew there was more time to be had in the reconciliation and the repair of our relationship. I knew some of the things that had to be worked on were not going to show up in the first 6, 12 year and a half of us getting back together. They wouldn't come online until I was like 31, 32. And they did. There were things about our divorce that were challenging, not at 29 when we got back together and we were almost in like a newlywed phase, but rather when I was like 32 and I was dealing with different changes in my life and feeling the shift from our fun relationship dynamic as newlyweds into this more partnership, And so if this guy can even articulate, if it feels authentic, that all of this really is from a place of deep love for his wife and for the future family that he wants to have, I think she can appreciate that, not unlike you've been able to understand and appreciate my perspective the last couple of years as I've requested patience. And it is not easy. I want to make you happy. And so knowing that you were diving into books about parenting and networking with birth people years before I was ready to, try to have a kid, I had to really stay in what I knew to be my truth. Otherwise, I'd be making a decision out of a lane of integrity that I've committed to being a part of. We got married really young, and even though I knew that you were the one, and the person for me, and I wanted to get married to you, I wasn't ready to get married. I wanted to go live together for a while and have some fun and just be young. But I really felt the pressure. I've talked about this on the show before, to get married. And so I did. I proposed and we got married and all that. And I just told myself after the divorce, God damn it, I'm never doing that again, where I stifle my intuition. My intuition doesn't, I'm someone who thinks in their head a lot. And I think a lot of guys are in their head, really rational and practical. But the occasional moment when my intuition speaks up, damn it, I'm a fool if I don't listen to it, because that means the voice is very loud inside myself. And so whether any of that I'm just projecting on this individual, I think this is coming from experience, a legit challenge, but also it's like, sit in gratitude for a minute, because both of you are coming at this from a place of love for each other and from a desire to want to build a family together, even if you see it a little bit differently. Like, acknowledge and celebrate the fact that you are aligned in at least this cool component of wanting to conceive.
Yeah. And just, there's nothing wrong with either of you. You guys are just different, and that's okay.
Yep. Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed that, check out right over here for some more fun clips.
Oh, and you're going to want to subscribe.
Bye.